There are no words. There are no words. I guess what I want to say is this is our every day, every single day, every single day. This is how we live, sadly, how we're viewed by so many. I have a beautiful, beautiful, tall, black, brave, handsome, intelligent, amazing, God-loving leader who I call my best friend and husband. But he's also 6'3". He's bald-headed, hair shaved, so tall, 6'3" black man. And I have an adorable firstborn child who is 19 years old, and his smile lightens up any room. His heart is so sweet. But he is a 19-year-old black young man who's a linebacker. He plays football. Big, broad shoulders, intimidating, deemed by most. And then I have a 14-year-old young black man who's adorable and sweet and so precious and so funny and the joy of our family. But that's where it stops. They're not sweet and cute and precious and all those wonderful things when they walk out the door. And here in Texas, we've had a couple of, probably more than I even know, instances of police going to the wrong house and from the backyard shooting and killing a 28-year-old who was playing video games with her young nephew because his sister was too sick to play with him. I'm not going to go through all of those situations. You see those on the news. The conversations that we have to have in our house are different from the conversations you have to have in your house. You don't have to have conversations in your house unless they're just the basic parenting conversations. We have to have conversations with our young black men about how to survive. And honestly, all the conversations we have in the world, when they're faced up against someone who sees them as a threat and adrenaline and ignorance and stupidity take over, all the conversations in the world won't help our children, my sons, my husband. Many years ago, when my husband and I, early in our marriage, never mind, I'm not going to share that story. It's not about our marriage, it's about an incident, but I'm not sharing that. We were at a football game once. My son played one of the best football games with such heart and such passion, and at the end there was so much joy, and I was right there on the field taking pictures and recording video, and I am literally a few feet from him, and all of a sudden this woman comes out of nowhere, and she is yelling and screaming, and her fingers in my son's face. She's accusing him of some unthinkable things while he was on the football field playing a football game. And what if I didn't have videos to prove that my son was playing the game? He wasn't over here doing what you said he was doing. Neither were any of the other players. But if I didn't have the video, And thankfully we had a school that advocated for us and went to that school and showed them all the videos I had, because if you know me, you know I take a lot of videos. But if we were in school right now, what's going on in the world, we wouldn't be discussing it at school. Everything would be status quo, just normal. But the conversations that are happening at home, in Black homes, are different from what happens when the kids step out the door when they go to school. If you run the numbers in most schools, our Black boys are always in the office, always having office referrals, always in the hall talking to a teacher. So I guess what I want to say to you is, so many people are fired up right now. So many people are enraged. And I'm not talking about the riots. That is not the way you handle change. However, there are people who just don't know what else to do. And I am not making excuses for rioting and looting and tearing down generations of what people have built up. But what is interesting to me is that now all of a sudden conversations that have never happened before are happening. This is not the first life lost at the hands in a situation like that. So what is different? Why are people so wound up and enraged and saying this is not okay now? What's different? Why now? Here's what I want to say. So we're hot, we're upset now. What happens in a couple of months? What happens when this passes, like every other time? Do you go back to normal? It's our everyday. We never forget. This is not new to us. I know the Lord calls us not to live in a state of fear. But as a parent, how do I feel every day when my son gets in the car or when they're at wherever they are? If I can't see them, what am I thinking? I try not to stay in that place. I do trust in the Lord with all my heart and try my best to follow his word and lean not on my own understanding. And the world's understanding is a very, very scary thing. My husband leads a group of dads and sons, and he got a big group of high school young athletes, black male athletes together with some dads and some college black male athletes. And they went to breakfast, and he set it up so the college athletes and dads could just talk life to the high school dads and sons. And the whole time they were gone, I was praying. I'm like, that's a lot of black men. That's a threat. That's what most people see as a threat. We've been places and we've seen people leave when they see a lot of black people, or clutch their purses closer, clutch their kids closer. I totally get stranger danger, but I've seen it enough to where I know that when we approach, when my beautiful black men are walking somewhere, I see what happens a lot of times. I could tell you so many stories right now, so many stories, but I can't. I can't. I choose not to right now, and I feel like that's my right and my choice. But the past few days, people have told me by name, loved ones who, one had skin torn off his face from being dragged on the ground. It's our everyday. The conversations we have to have with our kids, the conversations we have to have keep your hands out of your pockets at all times, no matter where you are. Don't wear a hoodie. No, son, I'm sorry, you can't go run in the neighborhood and stay fit during COVID-19. And that was before what happened to Ahmad. That was just me knowing, sadly, that my child is viewed as a threat. The conversations we have to have all the time are so different. We sit down as a family and watch the hard stuff, the stuff that most people don't want to look at. If it hasn't affected you, you don't probably want to look at it. You probably don't have to sit down and talk to your kids about it. You don't have to sit down and show them how things can change in a second. That's what we have to do all the time. There is so much I want to say. But I choose not to say it right now. I choose to say what's on my heart later. Well, gosh, I guess I just said what's on my heart. I said some of what I didn't say nearly. This does not articulate it at all. Some of the situations my family has been in. The thing is, like a lot of people, you automatically think it's police officers, and that's not all. Guys, we have to do some soul searching. We've got to face it. We've got to acknowledge that there is really a problem. We've got to acknowledge that at our deepest core, if you say that, oh, that's not me, I don't have any bias at all. I have bias. I know I do. And it's something that I try my best to be aware of and then be a better person. It's innate in us to have bias. Now, do we let that bias grow and turn into something else, like prejudices, discrimination, all of those things? So I think first, everybody has an opinion about what has to happen first. Got to realize there's a problem, and every single one of us has to own our space in the situation. And what I mean by that is, do our biases as teachers, as friends, how do they show up? How can I be better? As our religious leaders, as our medical professionals, law enforcement, like how many of us are truly having conversations? I've been working so hard having some conversations about change. That doesn't have to happen on social media. So you can be part of change, and you don't have to be holding a big flag and a megaphone and being on social media. You don't. It's what are you doing in your own space, in your own community? How are you impacting change? How are you processing this? And are you committed to continuing to learn and understand and try to figure out how to be a part of change going forward? Or is it just something right now? Every single one of us must, incumbent upon us to have conversations. to not miss the moment and think that that's not me. I don't have a problem. And I'm not saying we all do, but your problem can be as simple as, I don't understand. And I want to understand. I don't know what to do. I feel helpless. I'm confused. I'm angry. This is an opportunity to talk, to ask questions, to learn. I want to impact change, long-term change. I want to be a part of inspiring people to be better. And if you ask how that happens with love of mankind, open love, public love, true love, non-discriminating love, unbiased love, non-judgmental love, precious love, appreciative love, respectful love, nurturing love, curious love. We have to take some bold steps, y'all. We have to take steps into the uncomfortable zone. We have to not stop. We have to not be just right now kind of people. I think I've been so quiet because so many people, are enraged and reaching out, and that's good, but it's a little overwhelming. I just don't want it to be right now and then nothing else. That would be the worst thing that could happen out of everything, is that it's right now and nothing else. How about it's right now and then? Right now and next? Right now and later? Right now and forever?